One of the most striking things that I learned from your work is that real wages of a lot of people have been going up in, for example, the US for the past 50 years, but not for men without university education.
Well, actually, I emphasize men without a college degree or men with a high school degree because they are, the most striking.
They basically haven't had any wage growth.
They've had a wage decline, but it's not some people. 60% of the US workforce does not have a college degree. And on average, that group has had zero or very little wage growth in for about 50 years.
And you have calculations suggesting that, do I remember right, that maybe two-thirds of this is because of automation, one-third because of globalization?
Yeah, something like that. And look, I mean, I think that's a really striking number. It is clear that we have created a two-tiered society in the United States. The social status, the regards, the self-worth that people are allowed to have really depends on whether you have a college degree or not. And that is again ideological, that is again a social choice, and it is a function of technology and how we're using technology.
But the problem, I mean, I think that it's easy for anyone listening to agree. And just looking at the political consequences, of course, we can see how difficult the situation is. But what is the alternative? Because you're not a break the machine, let's go back to Stone Age kind of person.
Oh, absolutely not. I am an optimist. Look, I'm an optimist for the following reason. So let's see. So this is the On Humans podcast. So this is a really important part of the argument. First of all, every time you question anything that is being done in the current technological field, every time you question Silicon Valley, you are accused of being a Luddite.
Yeah, machine breaker.
I am not a Luddite, even though I think, the history of the Luddites is completely misinterpreted. Luddites were not just break the machines, they were trying to complain about the way in which the machines were being used. But let's leave that aside. I am not saying we should block technological change. Far from it. I think technological change has been an engine of prosperity and will be an engine of prosperity if we use it right. If you want an analogy, those who say block the technology are like trying to stop the flow of a river. That's both inadvisable and very, very difficult. What I'm saying is let's redirect some of the flow towards places where it will do less damage and it will create more social good. And I have a very specific way in which I think we should conceptualize the social good from technology. Unfortunately, this is a word Simon and I do not use in the book. We should have, but I would summarize it as saying a pro-human direction of technology. And what I mean by pro-human is technological changes that are complementary to humans, that increase their capabilities, increase their information, their decision-making capability, their agency, their productivity, rather than sidelining them. Automation is something that's going to go on forever. I'm completely in favor of automation, but not when the only thing you do is automation. Because if you automate work and you don't do anything else, where do humans go? No, if you look at successful periods in which shared prosperity was built, you see a lot of automation, but you also see a lot of new tasks and new responsibilities for humans. That's what we should do.
And how do we do that?
I'll come back to that. But if you look at periods in which humans are cast aside, their agency is reduced, their autonomy is reduced, those are often sad periods, like the early stages of the Industrial Revolution. When you take people's decision-making capacity, when you turn them into cogs in the machine, that's not what's pro-human. If you manipulate humans, they don't become good citizens, they don't become good democrats. You have to use technology not in an anti-democratic way, but in a pro-democratic way. Actually, if you look from the outside, perhaps that's how it appears from Helsinki, and it definitely that's how many people from DC and New York interpret it. They look at Silicon Valley and they see, oh, these are very globalist, pro-democratic people. But I would actually say the general tendency in Silicon Valley is anti-democratic. Why? Because they do not appreciate the unique, versatile skills of humans. They see humans as fallible, making mistakes, needing, to be steered by geniuses or by machines. That is not a pro-human direction. I don't think a society in which we do not respect, value, and enable the work that people who work with their hands do, is going to be a happy society. An electrician, a carpenter, a gardener is as much doing a valuable, useful work as you and I sitting in our offices and doing mental work. But right now, we are giving you an amazing set of tools. Look at the tools that you have available at your fingertips for recording, for reaching the world.
Yeah, it really is wonderful.
And what about the electricians? We're not giving them anything. We're not giving them any tools. There are tremendous needs in the United States and in Europe for more and more electrical work. But we're not training electricians. We're not giving them any tools to identify problems, more complex problems in real time. We can do those easily. We can make them better decision maker, more informed, better trained. We're not doing that. So AI, artificial intelligence, and digital technologies, they are actually amazing tools for increasing human capabilities. That's not how we are using them. And that's because of this anti-democratic mindset in Silicon Valley.
And I think wonderful example of that is when Elon Musk said that he himself made a mistake trying to only use as much robots as possible.
Exactly. Well, at least Elon Musk admitted it.
Yeah, and he literally said humans are underrated.
Yes. Well, he said that, but then he's continued to, you know, doing some of the same things, but at least he admitted it.
And you would say that Germany here provides a better path. In Germany, you see more use of robots than in the US in, for example, car manufacturing, but in a way that you say is actually conducive to people still working there with the robots. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to eulogize Germany. There are many things that are not sufficiently risk taking in Germany. There are problems in the service sector and the supply chain in Germany. But for the big part of the manufacturing industry, you see German firms much better at using human skills. Why? First of all, labor is scarce in Germany. Just like in the 19th century in the United States, scarce labor becomes valuable. They do better. They have unions and work councils that provide an institutional basis for more pro human directions of technology. They have a wonderful training system that prepares people to have a variety of job specific, industry specific skills so they become more valuable to the companies. So rather than just sideline them, they train them even more. They turn them into technical employees.
It's a wonderful idea. I mean, I've never thought of unions in this way of how they can create unions and labor rights can create a kind of virtuous circle where if you have invested in them and if it's not easy to just sack them, you find ways to complement them rather than sidelining them.
Absolutely. But again, let me warn you, you are right not to have thought of it this way, because if you look at the UK and the United States, unions have often not played that role because union management relationship has been conflictual enough that more cooperative role has not emerged. But if you look at your own country, Finland, if you look at Sweden, you see more of that, and you see that in Germany, different institutional settings, different things being done.
Very interesting.
But you do need, I mean, I was originally skeptical of the corporatist model
The Nordic, yeah.
because there was too much, I thought too much of collusion between business leaders and governments. But I think the corporatist model is a wonderful way of taming the more conflictual parts so that workers and capital can work together.
Will demography solve all of our problems? Because on the one hand, we talk about everybody being mass unemployed because of AI. On the other hand, we talk about not having enough workers because our demographic structure is so bad and we have so many elderly people.
Yes, I think demography will help. First of all, Pascual Restrepo and I have a paper that shows that a very large fraction of cross-country variation in robot adoption or automation adoption is explained by demographic factors, and countries that get their act together, such as Germany, South Korea, Japan, in response to demographic shocks, can use technologies in a way that works very well. And in fact, we have another paper that shows that fears of aging leading to macroeconomic imbalances or slow growth seem to be overrated. So, yes, demographic factors are going to be useful. But again, institutions are key. If you have demographic change and you have the wrong institution, it's going to be a big combustible mix that is very dangerous. So the institutional adjustments has to facilitate the technological adjustment.
Okay, last question. All the wonderful work that you've done throughout the years, thank you so much for it. And how has that shaped your outlook on our species?
I think that's a wonderful question. Thank you, Ilari. And I think that 20 years ago, I would not have known how to answer this question. At least now I have an answer. And I think the answer to me is that we have not fully appreciated and celebrated the amazing diversity, creativity, adaptability, and unique, versatile skills that humans have. It is such an amazing outcome of evolution and institutional innovations and adaptations that we have built amazing societies with a very rich cultural diversity. And I would like to emphasize this point because there are two sets of currents that I think undervalue those skills. One is the drive for autonomous machine intelligence, especially now fueled with generative AI, which sidelines humans, undervalues humans, puts them not in the driver's seat, but in the back seat at the best of conditions. And the second, again, this sort of ideological current that puts people who work with their minds miles ahead of people who work with their hands. It's really the combination of hand and mind, our ability to reason and interact with the physical world that is so special about us, and that creates all that versatile diversity and enables many, many, many millions of us, billions of us to contribute to our very rich world and that we have built in the 21st century. So I think celebrating that great skills and versatility of humans is a central thing for the future.
Professor Daron Acemoglu, thank you so much.
Thank you, Larry. It was a great conversation.